Before we go any further, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon, because without their help, none of this upgraded content that you'd be seeing would be possible. Over on the Patreon, you get exclusive sneak peeks at upcoming videos. You also get access to the Patreon only Discord server. Coming up soon, I'm going to be working on talking about other anime that I can't talk about here on YouTube, like say ReZero, Konosuba, and etc. I'm also going to start posting the scripts for video essays, and every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul. We also are going to open up the Patreon only Discord server to YouTube members at the $2 price tier, which also means that members will be seeing their name here alongside the patron. But with that being said, let's get back into today's video. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another review for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, episode 260. And now that episode 260 is done in the books, man, we actually got a lot to talk about, and it's not going to be because Kakashi's one of my favorite characters. That's not the case. However, the reason we got a lot to talk about is that if you don't read the novels, you're going to be looking at this episode like, man, this is so random. Since when were there issues between the new version of Konoha on top of the Hokage monument and the people in the older part of the village where Naruto and them grew up with? That's like so random. Where'd that come from? So it's actually not random. This is reason number 960 why I keep saying it really behooves you if you read the novels, because that whole subplot and all that trash talking between the different people in the different areas, that's directly from the light novels. Because after the 4th Great Ninja War, during that transition period from Tsunade over to Kakashi, there were plans made to build a central business district that you see in Boruto, and all those luxury apartments and all those new homes on top of the Hokage monument. And there were a lot of people very pissed off that even the space behind the Hokage monument was going to be devoted to something like that, and the elders were voicing that displeasure. And the reason why the elders were able to do that is that there were enough people in the old town that were not a fan of that. But under Kakashi as Hokage, there was a lot of expansion. Watch my video on the Hokage legacy of Kakashi, because a lot of people do not realize how much the village changed under Kakashi. This is very good because we're seeing Kakashi essentially cleaning up a little bit of a mess that he made. So I like seeing that right there. Now that we got that part out of the way, let's back up a little bit and let's get into the recap portion of the episode. So obviously this episode, as you can tell from the title and thumbnail, we're gonna have Kakashi and we're gonna have Boruto teaming up. And the way the episode starts out is that Boruto is carrying Kakashi's groceries and everything. Kakashi's really milking being a bit older in this. You know, Kakashi's pushing 50 at this point, and you know, Kakashi's like, hey fam, you know, my back can't take all this stuff. And you know, you could kind of make the joke that, you know, he's getting back at Boruto for making Boruto train him during the car actuation arc stuff. But essentially, while they're sitting there and they're eating the sweets together, Kakashi starts talking about how he hasn't read the ending of Make Out Paradise, because only the first volume of Jiraiya's last novel actually ended up being published, and the ending ended up getting taken out of the new prints of it. So Kakashi has a lot of incentive after this fight that takes place between the two different families that represent the new central business district and the old village of Konoha about the fireworks beef that they have. Kakashi gets told like, hey, if you break up all this and you stop the fighting and the back and forth, I'll give you this last copy of Jiraiya's last novel. And so Kakashi at that point, he's like, yo, Boruto, we going into the new village. We about to go talk to these people. We gonna see how we can fix this. Kakashi's 100% into it. While Boruto's trying to talk to the old man inside of the bakery, Kakashi starts looking around. He's investigating. He's like, hey, you guys used to be really good friends. I see this photo right here. What happened? How come you guys aren't necessarily talking to each other anymore? Kakashi's walking up and he's like, hey, you know, these bakeries, these are the same ones that we saw in this other bakery. Kakashi's really starting to put some pressure onto both parties at this point, and it's because he's got that additive incentive. And what I like right here is that, you know, the way Kakashi handles himself is it's classic Kakashi fashion, where you look at this man and he's like, he seems like he doesn't have a care in the world. He looks like he's trolling to an extent. He's got that smug, lazy expression on his face, but just when you think like, okay, the dude's kind of a little off a little bit, Kakashi starts pulling out receipts. It's very similar to how what you had when Naruto and Team 7 first met him, and they're like, can this guy really be somebody that can this guy really be somebody that's an elite Jonin? Are we really supposed to learn underneath him? Kakashi essentially is doing the same thing. And I like how at various points in this episode, Kakashi has to state like, I used to be the Hokage. That's like the most Kakashi thing ever, where the dude's like super chill, walking around with his hands in his pocket. Kakashi's already come up with the plan to start trying to fix all this stuff. And essentially what he's done is he puts a note on Boruto's back in complete troll fashion. And he's like, hey, Boruto, I still got to finish some shopping. You go ahead and handle this. Like, that's just the troll aspect of Kakashi. I love that part right there. And I also love how one of the things we end up getting is that when Boruto is taking his time and he's going to the old version of Konoha and he's taking the dumplings and he's refusing to leave until the old man is able to speak to him. If you look at it, the way that the characterization is done, the people in the old village are looking at Boruto saying, well, you know, that is the Hokage's son. I have to pay him respect. That's showing more so the traditionalist side right there. So I like seeing that, and I like how it's because Boruto's Hokage's son that essentially the old man agrees to go to the Hokage mansion and have the meeting with his rival that is from the new version of Konoha. And the two of them, they end up sitting there, and instead of doing peace talks, the man's like, hey, how about you apologize first? And they begin having this huge pissing contest, and Kakashi sits there and he tries at first to say like, hey, I know what's really going on between you. Kakashi just sits there, gets annoyed, goes up to the two lovebirds that are the grandchildren of the two fireworks heads that are going back and forth. And he says, hey, you guys really just want to get married. How about you guys just go get married in secret and that'll solve everything? Like, that's what you guys want. I just want the novel. Give me the novel. You guys go get married. Everybody's happy. And Kakashi tries to pull something shrewd. It doesn't work that way. And what ends up happening is the grandchildren are saying, well, we can't get married in good nature knowing that our grandparents hate each other. So this needs to be solved. And so Kakashi's like, okay, that's it. We're going to handle this right now. So Kakashi gets to the head of the table and he takes charge. And he's like, hey, how about instead of trying to do peace talks, we go ahead and let you guys fight it out. So you guys pop your fireworks. You guys pop your fireworks. We're going to do them at the same time tonight. And whoever has the best fireworks is going to be the one that is going to be running the fireworks display from this point onward. Now, what I found interesting here is that instead of Kakashi saying how they're going to determine who's going to pop those fireworks, he just essentially lays it on thick that they're going to let them fight it out tonight. And he plays into the whole idea of the beef between these two people. And what I like right here is that Kakashi's plan was already in motion, because he tells the two grandchildren, like, I used to be a former Hokage, I can handle something as silly as something like this. And so he goes undercover, puts on his reporter outfit, and Kakashi changes the fireworks. So the people in the old district are actually popping the fireworks from the people that were in the new district, and the people in the new district are popping the fireworks to the people in the old district. And so after you had both sides doing all the trash talk, like, hey, look at the old side's fireworks, those are so puny, they don't look nice. And then over on the other side, you have the people in the old district saying, you know, these new fireworks don't have any tradition behind them, those don't look as good. Kakashi, by pulling that switcheroo and by having them watch each other's fireworks and see each other's symbols at the very end of the fireworks display, has essentially showed them that, hey, you're fighting over something stupid. Both fireworks look really good. If you take off the label of who's doing what, you realize that both of these are good, and you guys should really just you guys should just be working together. So I like that you saw that aspect of it right there, and that essentially brings the two sides back to the table. And that's when the grandchildren reveal, like, hey, we really want to get married, but we couldn't get married because of all this beef that's going on between you two. And I like that you see that that's the thing that ends up breaking it. That's very cliche. That's a tried and true tested method that writers use, where like romance can be one of those things that ends up solving disputes and everything. You know, this could have gone the Romeo and Juliet level, but this is a shonen, so it's not going to go that route. Or rather, this is a gateway shonen, so it's not going to go that route. So I did like seeing how that was kind of thrown in there. And what I also like is that by showing the different disputes between old side and new side, you see two things. You see, number one thing I've been telling you guys ever since I've been reviewing the Boruto anime, which is that, like, yes, the five great nations, they're under peace talks. They communicate with each other. For the most part, there are no issues, but there's still issues between the five nations, but they're at a point now where they talk about it. But inside of each individual village, including Konoha, there are real issues that are still being hammered out. Boruto's anime has built on stuff that Kodachi wrote in the novel, as well as stuff that Kodachi wrote in the notes that are in the Boruto manga, which is that like there's drug problems in Konoha, there's a black market, there's poverty issues, there's other stuff that goes on that you don't really see if you don't consume everything. They'll throw little bits and pieces in there, like how Boruto saw the black market and he saw the Byakuya gang arc, but there wasn't a whole lot of context behind it. And the other thing that you see here that I like is the fact that the issues between old Konoha and new Konoha, it really just shows you how beef works, because when you got two different sides like this, where as it was said in the novel, there are real traditional issues between the two sides. Sometimes when people got beef, it's just one of those things where I don't like the way that you're wearing your hat. It's over stupid stuff that you start nitpicking the other side. And so what Kakashi does in this episode by switching those fireworks is he's begun that process of bringing those two sides of the village together. That was the whole purpose of Naruto doing the Parent and Child Day holiday, which was essentially to show that shinobi have families too. Shinobi can be civilians as well, to bring those two sides together. And so Kakashi, even though he's technically not acting as Hokage, Kakashi's still doing some Hokage work. So, I mean, I thought this was a cool episode, man. I enjoyed this one. So my episode question to you guys is, how do you guys feel about the anime kind of pulling something like this and treating it in the same fashion that they did the Funato clan arc, where they're not going to waste their time saying like, hey, this is the backstory on this. The anime is just doing what it's continued to do. It just pulls different stuff from the novels and expects you to know it. And then my second question is, if you've not read the novel because either you were not wanting to or because you were waiting for me to cover it here over on the channel, how do you feel about this explanation? Do you still feel like what you got in this episode was random? Let me know down in the comment section below. But while you think that over, consider watching these. But while you think that over, click here to watch my new Black Clover chapter review, or click here to watch this throwback video that some of you new subscribers to the channel likely haven't seen yet.